Hello, welcome to yet another video on Power BI. And today we're going to discuss one of the most important aspects of data visualization, which is creating a report or a dashboard. Now in Power BI, we have slightly different meaning for report or a dashboard, but for a generic or general consumption, we will use this term interchangeably. So hi, this is Manu from Climatrix Data Labs. So let's go straight to our Power BI desktop. So before we jump into a Power BI desktop, let's set the pace for this session and also for creating a report or a dashboard. So there is no fixed rule as to how you should create a report or a dashboard. There are some graphical or design tips. For example, what kind of color combinations to use, where to put a chart in a dashboard, what size to use. I'm not going there as of now. Maybe we'll have a separate session on design topics, but these are some of the steps that you can use or use them as a guide. And then you can create your own rules as you proceed or graduate further in this field. So first of all, try to understand why you want to create a dashboard, right? Which would mean not only what all you want to show in the dashboard, but also to whom you want to show this dashboard, right? So you would like to answer the question like what you wish to do or tell with a report or dashboard. For example, where is my sale low? What is the trend of profit and loss? What is the category wise performance? And which geography our sales is up or down. Once you figure this out, that why you want to create a dashboard, then it is a good idea to always create a mock-up or a rough design or a sketch of your dashboard. Now, when I say mock-up, it could be a full-blown graphically designed mockup, which means an experienced designer can come in and create a dashboard which takes care of not only the overall size, the colors, and the overall theme, but also how it reflects the brand for whom the dashboard is created, right? These are some of the things which you would want to do. Also, creating a mockup makes your life easier at the end of your dashboard designing, because if you set few things right at the very beginning, you don't have to do to and fro at the end. So this is one of the very basic steps one should do. If you are not doing a very high level designing, at least get something ready on a rough piece of paper using a simple pen, right? Or maybe on a PPT or some kind of a drawing tool online. Then once you have freezed these two steps, you would want to get your design assets, which means you would definitely be getting your graphs and other things from your Power BI tool itself. But for other things, like you might want to fix what kind of font you want to use, which colors you want to use, and maybe some small flat icons, which are like small hints or small images that are used in the dashboard to give them an extra graphically enhanced look, as well as increase the usability of the dashboard. Once you have done all these things, then you would like to create a report, bring all these things together along with your graphs, put them in the right shape so that it brings out most from the underlying data. And then finally, you want to publish it. You would want to publish it online using Power BI services or related tools. Now, these steps, though we're doing it for Power BI, but these relate more or less to any kind of visualization designing, and also closely relate to any kind of high-end graphical designing as well. So let's say, like I said, we need to create a mock-up. Why is already we have decided. So for this, we are going to use a very common data, which is known as a Superstore data, which is a imaginary retail chain, and we have number of parameters in there, and we already have an idea what we want to do with that, right? So let's talk about the why little later. But let's say the second part, wherein we decided to create a mockup. This is a mockup that we plan to do. So we want to capture the title over here, logo, some key facts, maybe like what is sales, profit, and quantity sold, or maybe some filtering mechanism here, and then maybe split up of sales in category, geographical split, of some parameters, right? And then category wise performance and maybe city or subcategory wise performance. This is typically from the point of view of the data that we have in hand. So something like this you might want to create. And then also there could be some brainstorming around this, maybe when you're working in a team, to come up with the first level of mockup. After few to and fro, you might come up with something, let's say like this, right? If you're using a graphical designer, he or she can help you to get a very high level graphical design of a dashboard, which more or less would be like the actual dashboard, right? So this is really helpful if you can get up till here, right? And a few points to note here are that suppose I'm using our organization's, what to say, logo. So I might want to use the color that we use, right? So maybe I want to pick some colors from the logo, or maybe some theme colors. So all these colors we can pick and get the underlying hex code for those colors. So how to get this done, there's a separate video on that, but I'm assuming that you can easily capture these hex codes for the colors when you are looking at this video. And finally, once you kind of do few to and fro from on this dashboard, and you maybe discuss it internally, or maybe do some iterations on your own, you might be able to come up with the final version, which on the Power BI would look something like this. So this is what we are going to create, right? So you might see that what we decided here, some things have changed here, and finally from this to this and to this, there is some variation, and based on some iterations, I have arrived at this dashboard. So let's try to recreate this dashboard and see how it goes, okay? So to demo this dashboard, we will be using a Superstore's data, and this is the order sheet from that data. Now to create this dashboard, if you can see, we have used some elements like the colors over here, right? And then there are some small images over here, right? Rest are readily available inside Power BI. So as far as the colors are concerned, we have already captured them here, right? So let's go and build this up. So first of all, to get the top level banner over here, let me get a text box, and let me freeze it like this. And then I would like to, let's say, write in the caps, right? Demo dashboard, right? Then centrally align it, and then make the font really bigger, right? So it will depend on the typology that you're using. So I'm using 36 as my font. If you want, you can stick with this 36 font. And then I want to use a standard format. So by default, it is giving me Sigoi. So I'm going to stick with this so that we don't have to do too much of to and fro. Now I want to change this font to the color that is available as per our design. So let's say this is the color, right, of the dashboard, and the background color is this. So click on this text box, okay, and press escape so that it is not inside the text box, but it is highlighted. And then go to over here effects, okay, and then change the color, and then pick the color. If your required color is not here, you will have to go to more colors and type the hex code over here, right? So this is my hex code, for instance, 118DFF. So if I like this, so I'll get that color, bluish color, right? But I want to use a darker color, which is already available here because I have used it before I was recording this session. So I can click on this, right? So I get this dark color, and if you want to get the hex code of this, you can go to more colors, and this is the hex code of this, right? Again, the hex codes of colors have already been explained in a separate video. You can explore that. Now, once I'm here in the text, I want to change the font to maybe this color, right? And I get something like this. You might want to make it a little bold, so I'll use Sigoi bold. Now if you see the font family, it's Sigoi. So there are Sigoi bold, Sigoi UI, and Sigoi UI light. So light is when you have your cramped for space, the font is really small. Bold is for heading, and intermediate you can use Sigoi UI, right? So I'll use bold over here, and this looks something like this. Looks pretty good. Next is I want to get my logo over here. Go to insert, image, and then I pick my logo. So this is the logo, and then I just kind of something like this, right? So I get my logo over here, and then maybe I also want to add something else over here. So I'll just say, right, and then get to the, so I'm using the font like 36, 24, and maybe 18 or 16. That's the order I'll use. And because this is a second level of headings, I'll use Sequoia UI, the intermediary one, right? And then maybe it's good idea to get this at a different color. Okay. So this looks pretty good, and I can just finally align it like this. And we are done with the top header. Okay, now since we are here, the next step is to get the charts over here, right? So what I want to do is I first want to, actually, as a matter of fact, we should first always, before even we do this thing, we should set the canvas over here. So you go to canvas setting, and you can just set the type. 16:9 is the standard one. I'll stick with this, and then you can always get to a canvas background. So if you want, you can get a background on the canvas. Like for example, if I want a color in the background, I can use this and then set the transparency to less so that it's visible, right? Something like this. But I don't want to use such a bright color. I'll use a very mild color and set the transparency to, let's say, for the time being, 70%, right? So I have this slightly grayish color so that I have some differentiating background. Again, it depends on your design theme. Now, if you see this data, this has a time series data. So we want to see how the sales have gone year on year, right? So that would be a good idea. That will give us a good idea of our sales. Again, this is not like a standard way that you have to do it like this only, but I think this is a good approach. So I'm going to, to my sales, and this is what I get. Now, you might want to first get the sales here and then the order date. Sometimes it behaves like this. So, and then I want to get a monthly sale because that's good enough for me, not year on year sale, right? Let's first get all the charts here, and then we'll do the formatting later on, right? So that way we do the formatting in a single chunk. Second chart is the top 10 sales statewise. So what I do is I get a bar chart over here. Now, since it's vertical over here, it's good to have a chart like this over here, right? On the left side, like this. Right, and we'll get states. So if I'm not able to locate it, I can just search it here, state, and then I'll also get once I get the state, I'll get the sales. So I'll get the sales also over here, and then in the filter over here, I want to filter top 10 states based on the sales, right? So I want to use, in the filter, I'll use top n, and then I need top 10 states based on sales. I drag sales here and I apply filter. So I get top 10 states based on sale, which is good. Next is this map, and then this pie chart. For the map, I'm going to use a map like this, the shape map. So let's bring state here, and then I want to color it based on let's say profit this time, because I want to see how my financial health is, right? So how the sales or the profits are going across different states in this area of operation of this organization. Next is the category wise split of sales. So for this I'm using a donut chart, and then I say what is the sales based on different categories. So this is what I get. And finally, I'm going to use something interesting over here just to add us make it a little interesting, though you might not always want to use this. So I'm going to use this decomposition tree, which we have already discussed in the past, and I'm going to see how my sales are behaving, how my sales are behaving. So I'm going to check how my sales are behaving based on different categories and then subcategories. So if I expand the sales and I go to category first and then expand each category to subcategory. Okay, so I think we have got all the charts that we need. Now the idea is how to make this like this. So let's try to go there. So first of all, let's start from the topmost chart. If I go here, right, so I don't need this header over here. So I go to my formatting and then I go to general and then I switch off the title. So title is gone, right? Now next is this is sum of sales and there is these dates, and I live with these for the time being, but I don't want these grid lines. They're small dotted lines in the background if you try to see them. So I want to get rid of them, and also I want to make this an area chart just because it looks a little better. So I make it an area chart like this, right? And further what I want to do is I want to go to this filter and go to the grid lines and turn all the grid lines off. So horizontal grid lines are off and vertical grid lines are also off. So it's totally blank over here. And the final thing is go to general, go to effects over here and make the background totally transparent. This way you add a layer of design. We'll see how it impacts when it's totally developed. Next is I want to go to this chart, right? And again, I want to get rid of all the unnecessary headings. So I don't want a title over here, or as a matter of fact, I don't want this title actually, but I want a title which reads something like this: top 10 states sales. So we say top 10 states, right? And I want to use let's say some heading which is position color, right? And then there's a subheading. I turn it on also, and over here I say sales, so that I know that these top 10 states are based on sales. And then maybe I use a color, maybe this. Okay, this looks good. Finally, I go to this chart again. I don't want these sum of sales because I've already written it as sales and these are the name of states, so we don't want this also, right? So let's get rid of these. So I go to y-axis, and in the y-axis I can get rid of the title, and likewise in the x-axis I can get rid of the actually I can turn the entire x-axis off, right? And I also get rid of the, sorry, once you switch off the axis, then the titles cannot be switched off. So what you do is you first keep the x-axis on, turn off the title, and now you switch off the x-axis. I mean, it's a strange behavior. Maybe in the later version this is taken care of. This is what I get. Okay, so this is the final chart. And lastly, what I would want is, because I have removed all the numerical fields here, so maybe I want to turn on the data labels, position them, just see how it looks inside the end. So it looks okay, but then maybe we'll have to adjust it a bit, or let's keep it outside for the time being. Next is if you note, each of these chart is having a shadow, right? It is like a raised above this background. So let's do that. Let's click on this chart, go to this design, this format, go to general, effects, and then over here there is an option to add a shadow. So I click on shadow. So by slight adjustment we can see this shadow, right? And finally minor adjustment, that you again go to this effect where there was shadow, and then get the visual border on, right? Keep the border of the same shape. I prefer it this way, of the same color, sorry, and then maybe round it off to 10 pixels, right? So like this. So now it is slightly rounded on the corners. So this gives it a really nice and soft look and feel. And then what you can do is take this, click on this chart, go to home, format painter, and then use this on other charts as well. Click on this chart, format painter, and the other chart. So at least basic level of formatting is applied directly over here, right? And then you can adjust its size a little bit so that too you can accommodate it, right? The last one, this one, now again, because the way we have designed it, so the idea is to keep these three slightly raised above the black, the gray background, right? So this gray background in the below it, right? So slight adjustments, and then what you do is you just adjust it a little bit here and just like this, right? So let's say for the time being we're getting this. We might need further adjustments. So let's go to this chart and then go to general, go to effects, and then make the background totally transparent. So it is not transparent, okay? And you see it is something like this, okay? So now I can slightly adjust this because this, okay. So this is I think more or less in line with what we were expecting. Final changes required are, if I go to this pie chart and this donut chart, go to the formatting, and then I can go to turn off the legends, okay? And in the data labels or detail labels, what you do is you go here, label, and say category and percentage of total, right? And then over here I also want to go to general, and in the title I want to say categories, and then we can, in the subtitle we can say sales, okay? So, and the font and everything is taken care of because I've already copied the format from there, right? So this looks great, and let's compare it with our original design. So few things are this color and maybe these labels over here if they're not there already, and rest is already fine. And yeah, these three things. So over here, let's first go to this map and get the colors over here. So what we can do is go to fill colors, and in the gradient we can say minimum is because low sales is not good. So let's say let's pick up a slightly reddish kind of tinge, and good sale is green, but we'll take this green because that reflects our brand, right? And then we just need to adjust this, right? So what we can do is, because I see there is a scope of space here, I can just get these to the left a bit, right? And yep, like this. Okay, so this looks pretty okay. Slight adjustment is, yeah, like this. So now this white band is something that I don't like. So what I can do is I can bring in a small rectangular shape over here, and then color it based on, go to style, and then the color is slightly gray, right? And then if you see, you can also get rid of the borders, right? And now if you try to place it over this white strip with some adjustments, so it's totally gone now, but you see it's slightly darker. This is because of the transparency. So now what we can do is we can keep the transparency 0, and for the canvas also, let's make it what we changed in the beginning. We just keep it totally opaque. So this way it's totally blends with the background, and that white band is totally gone, right? So now we have a chart which looks, or a dashboard which looks exactly, or more or less exactly the way it was in our original plan, right? And then I see some scope here. No, let's not do that. Okay, this maybe color you might want to change to blue, but let's stick with this one. And finally, you might want to have some interactivity. For example, if I click on a sales here, so it should reflect the sales here, but this right now is filled, what do you say, highlighting, right? So I want it to be filtering. So what I do is I click somewhere in the chart just to bring it back, and then I go to this chart and go to format and edit interactions, and then I want clicking on this chart to filter things on this. If you're not able to see those icons clearly, you can just adjust the size until you can see those icons, right? And if not yet available, maybe click on this again, and now it's visible, right? So click on here, right? And then this is already filtered. This one also I want to filter, okay? And I think it looks okay. Great. And I want this also to be filtered, right? This one, sorry. So and then maybe bring it back here and edit interactions. So I think we are good to go now. Let's see. So if I click anything here, so it is yeah, it is filtering here, here, and here as well, right? So I mean, you can always adjust these and bring the interactions. So now what this does is it gives me if I want to pick any date from here, I can get the overall split across all these graphs, right? And finally, in this map, if I click anything on this map, I don't want this to impact anything on this. As a matter of fact, this chart should not have been, it should be a static one, because top 10 states should always be same, right, for these charts. So what I do is I take this map, okay, go to format, edit interactions, right, and then I want this map to impact this chart, so this one, and do nothing over here, right? I don't want to do this to do anything over here. And then I might also want to see how this one impacts this categories. So if I want to see a state, how the categorical split is, so it is already filtered. So all is okay now. I can click on edit interaction. And now if I see, let's say this sales looks low in Oregon. So I click here and I see what is the split of different categories, and also how it's behaving in different categories. So for in furnitures, we are low on bookcases in this state, and in office supplies we are high on storage but low on art, so something like this. So I can get a split of each of the state. Also, you see this is giving me an year-on-year sale of this map. So I think that filter didn't apply here, but still, I mean, if you want to work this way, this also is possible. So this way you can create your interactions. Again, I'm not showing you a perfectly working dashboard, but I think the idea is already being put across. And last, these good looking small cards. So for these cards, what I do is I bring one of the cards, right, and I adjust its size and shape over here. First a rough estimate of the size, and let's say I bring sales over here. So I get a sales like this. Okay, now I go to formatting. I don't want the category label over here, so switch it off, but instead I want to go to call out, and what I want to do is I want to change this color to something else like this, and then I go to general, and I go to effect, and then the background I want to make it maybe this blue, right? And this looks okay. And then I also want to have a title over here which says, let's say, sales. Okay, so and then I can obviously align the height, this title centrally aligned, and make it white in color. Okay, whatever, whichever way it works for you. And then go to keep in general only, and then maybe add a shadow also like this, right? And then also add some rounding off of the corner. So go to effect and then go to borders. So you see it is rounded off now. So likewise you can add more cards, and maybe last thing what you want to do is keep the fonts to some scene levels in terms of size, right? And then once it's done, select this, Control C, Control V 3 times, right? And because we want to put in 3 cards over here, if you want this to be right, so this you might want to do this. And then because this text box is coming in front, so what you do is click on this text box and then go to format and send it totally back. Once you have adjusted the layer, right, you can just align them like this, and yeah, like this. So first you need to get the size right. If you're not able to do it manually, just click on any of the chart, go to go to this option over here, and then in the general there is this properties. So it says height is 97, width is 139. So let's say I make height as 90 and width as 120, let's say. And if it looks okay, I can just use the same size across all these charts. So I can, and last, just first roughly manually just try to kind of align them. You don't have to do the perfect alignment as of now. Once you have aligned it, like at least the left and the right extremities, click on all these 3, go to format, and then go to align, and then say distribute horizontally. And then you go to align and then align middle, so that it's all in the same horizontal position and vertical position. So, and then I just used these, only the sales figure over here. You can always change it with something else, right? And lastly, you can go to insert and shapes, images, and then we have these small images. So let's say if I want to use this one, this is a flat icon, I can just adjust this like this and put it here like this, right? So, and then I can add to these also. I'll just keep the same here just for demonstration purpose. So let's say we get something like this. So with this, I think we have achieved more or less what we wanted to. So we can, it has interactivity, this chart, and we can click and get our result, desired insights from this, right? And once you get it like this, and you can just go to view and use the few options, page view, fit page, fit to page, fit to it. So you can use all these options, right, to see the size of this dashboard, right? I think we have been able to create a very good dashboard using minimal efforts. And if you use these techniques and some more, you can arrive at a very high level professional dashboard. So this is what we can finally strive to achieve, right? By a few more adjustments and few more formatting, we can easily arrive at this. This is not the one of the ways to, or the perfect way to see this data, but I thought this would be a good way to understand dashboards. Different people with different design sense can have more variations of this dashboard. So with that, we come to this to the end of this interesting session on Power BI dashboards and reports. Uh, for more enhanced and more complex dashboards, we will try to come up with more variations of these dashboards and other underlying calculations. But for the time being, this is Manu from Climatrix Data Labs signing off. And if you like our video, do subscribe, comment, and share. Thank you so much.